I've been researching the old records, trying to find the location of Talrasha's tomb. Though I haven't found the tomb itself, I may have a good lead for you. The great Viserai summoner, Horazon, built his arcane sanctuary somewhere around here. He was a powerful spellcaster and kept demons as slaves within the sanctuary. He kept a close eye on great events, too, such as the imprisonment of Baal within Talrasha's tomb. If you could find Horazon's sanctuary, I'm sure that it would hold some clue as to the tomb's location. Though I doubt Horazon is still alive, you must proceed with caution. There's no telling what could be waiting inside. When I spoke of this with Lord Jaron, he asked that I send you to him. Perhaps he knows of a secret entrance or the like.
This is the story of the Arcane Sanctuary and the horrific tale of the Summoner that lies within, and the quest's original appearance in Diablo 2. After collecting the pieces of the Horadric staff and heading back to Lutgo Lane, we are instructed by Drognan to seek out the young ruler Jaron at his palace, who shares.
When the troubles began here, I allowed the terrified Harem guilds to join me within the safety of the palace. All was fine until one night. Screams echoed up the stairwells from the harem. My guards arrived to find the poor girls being slaughtered by a merciless band of hell-spawned demons. My brave guardsmen tried to push the demons back into the mysterious rift from which they came. Ever since, my men have fought a losing battle. Demons have continued to pour through the rift into the palace. Ultimately, I hired Graze and his mercenaries to help protect the rest of my fair city. Drognan believes that the Arcane Sanctuary lies buried underneath this palace, since Lutgo Lane occupies the site of an ancient Viserai fortress. My palace is open to you now. Take care.
Our darkest fears have come to light. Of course, Horazon's Viserai summoning site was at the heart of the palace, and the townsfolk and harem girls have paid dearly for his actions. Also of note is, Horazon's Sanctum originally appeared as a cut quest during Diablo 1, and we were forced to face Horazon himself. However, as with most cut content from Diablo 1, Diablo 2 has a much different take on the story and is just as dark, if not darker than the original. Before we head into the palace for clues on the whereabouts of Horazon's prized journal, which is our best lead for hunting down Baal's tomb, we decide to speak to the townsfolk scattered around and see if they have any further clues of Horazon and his rumoured arcane sanctuary. We first seek out the wisdom of healer Atma, who questions.
Arcane sanctuary? That place sounds awful. Even if you find a way into it, what makes you think you'll be able to leave again?
She's right. Crossing into an arcane plane seems dangerous at best. We can't even begin to fathom what we're dealing with. With that grim assessment to mull over, we spy Gaglash, the drunken lout, in the tavern, beckoning to us.
Look, I'm just about as tough and arrogant as they come. But you never catch me trying to tame a demon for a pet. That's just asking for a lot of trouble.
Arrogant? Yes. Tough, undecided, but respect for having marginally more sense than Horazon himself. We then head back to the center of town and seek out the wisdom of the Horadric scholar, Deckard Cain, once more.
I very much doubt that Horazon still lives in his sanctuary. He possessed great power and influence over demons, but even that may not have been enough in the end. One of his notoriety cannot easily remove himself from the vengeful reach of hell.
Although it gives us some manner of comfort to think that Horazon is no longer in his sanctuary, this is potentially even more troubling news. Whether alive or deceased, this Horazon could not be filching the ranks of any of the evils for long unnoticed. Hammering away just over yonder is Vara the blacksmith, who declares,
"Ah, the ancient mage Horazon. He believed that he could bend evil forces to his will. What he didn't know was that evil uses man, not the reverse. The Viserai still revere him as a symbol of man's ability to triumph over otherworldly forces. The Church of Light, however, cites him as an example of man's folly."
While the mages revere this man's mystical prowess, the Church of Light and those with common sense, it seems, know that you cannot bend evil to your will without a cost. Or as Nietzsche once said, he who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And if you gaze long into the abyss also gazes into you. With that terrible thought, we see the potion brewer Lysander next, who also has his own philosophy on summoning.
Horazon found it necessary to lock himself up for all time, just to protect himself from those angry demons. Such is the fate of one who practices the summoning art. In that or eternal damnation, there's old summoners and bold summoners, but no old, bold summoners.
So, should we expect to see Horazon locked up? I also enjoy the rhyme of the old and the bold. I bet there are no bold and beautiful summoners, after a demon escapes anyway. We then see the ship captain Mashif down by the docks, and hopefully if he's got word of this sanctum in his travels.
The legend of Horazon is an old one, especially around these parts. You wouldn't believe the feats and strange events that are attributed to him.
One can only imagine. Also, that none of them are good. We then seek out caravaner Wareve, who says,
"A careful caravan gives wide berth to sleeping bandits. If Horazon is gone, let him remain so."
He has said everything we need to know and as eloquent as any have put it. Passing the palace quickly, we then speak to Elzix, who shares,
"An arcane sanctuary under the palace? I'd heard that there were some underground cellar levels that Jaron used as chambers for his treasure and such, but no arcane sanctuary."
Of course, an ex-bandit leader knows a rumor of treasure. Who would have thought? Maybe my caravan should have given him a wider berth. We then talk to the man who presumably has had the most contact with Jaron of late, the mercenary leader in charge of keeping this town safe, Grays, who says,
"The only thing in Jaron's cellar are the harem girls that have been hiding there since the troubles began."
Has Grays been in this cellar? Is Jaron's concern real, or is he hiding something? With all of these clues about Horazon and his wicked past, and what to expect if we encounter this treacherous sanctuary, we have naught to do but greet the palace guards and head into the palace.
"Welcome to the palace."
With the thought of what we may encounter of those poor harem girls, we ready ourselves as we head down the winding steps and into the palace's first floor of the harem. We enter the first level of the harem and are met with a disturbing silence. Colourful walls decorated show no sign of struggle, although cups knocked over and disheveled look of the floor could mean somebody left in a hurry. An errant bat glides aimlessly around the room, and we question how long it's been since the women have stepped foot here, and how many would tolerate the presence of a bat and few rats scurrying about for that matter. And where are their guards? We then head into the northern room to see it empty and in the same state. Quickly checking the room to the south, it's clear the floor is totally void of life, bar a few rodents and small creatures, but we must delve deeper to uncover the mystery of the missing girls. Heading to the second floor, we're met with darkness that is unsettling. There's a guard unceremoniously skewered, hanging limp and lifeless in front of us. The decor, although darkened, is similar, but splashed with lashings of blood, making a mockery of the formerly pristine white dancing statue's grace and beauty. It's then we're happened upon by a gaggle of horror archers and their mage brethren. They appear to have helms similar to the dress of the guardsmen, and make us wonder if they too had been turned to the unholy service of the three. After fighting through vicious waves of their kin, we find some of the harem girls, bound against a pillar, blood pouring from their slit throat. We don't know how long they've been dead, or what untold nightmares they were forced to endure, but we know that unfortunately, this is likely not going to be an isolated occurrence. After slogging our way through 2 levels of the harem, we find a dead guardsman shackled to a door, accompanied by a deceased harem girl, as if wards to further unwanted trespassers, and an entrance into the palace cellar. The cellar itself, adorned with various barrels and yet still painted with smatterings of blood like the previous floors. On the ground is a body of a harem girl left where she lay, and then we're pounced upon by an angry pack of June beasts, hacking our way through the beasts with waves of skeletal mages lobbing various spells of lightning, poison and ice at us, and the previous gore becoming more pronounced with every step. Guardsmen now being decapitated in a mockery by the demonic inhabitants of the cellar. It's on the 3rd floor of the cellar that we happen upon some sand-raided demons and a super unique monster named Fire Eye, who drops an enhanced level skull cap upon defeating him and grants us access to another room with a portal in the middle. This must be the fabled portal to Horazon's sanctuary. However, before we delve into the unknown horrors of Horazon's portal, we decided prudent to stay a spell in town to resupply and return to the villagers for further guidance, to which Atma says,
So you've been in the palace, have you? Tell me, why does Jaron keep that place locked up so tight?
Gaglash then imparts supreme wisdom on fight or flight tactics.
All my years of brawling, of pummeling both the unsuspecting and the deserving, have yielded 2 insights. You can either fight, or you can run. All other strategies are variations of these.
Cain then reveals what we unfortunately already know to be true.
I've been thinking about the problems in Jaron's palace. Perhaps this has occurred to you as well. If those cellar passageways lead to the Arcane Sanctuary, then that is where the demons came from. Horazon's haven must have been breached.
Farah then warns,
Even a sanctuary such as Horazon's can be breached by the tentacles of evil. Such a haven could have become a chamber of unspeakable horrors. Be wary of what you may unleash.
Lysander mishears.
The Horizon is always out of reach, you should know that. Oh, Horazon. Oh, I see. Yes, well, he was insane. Yeah, brilliant, yes, but total lunatic.
Yes, Lysander, lunatic. Nashif by the docks impatiently requests,
So, now that you're such a pal of Jaron, why don't you ask him if I can set sail one of these days? I'm running out of patience.
Wariv then burns a new visual into our brain.
Fate is like a caged gorilla. It will pelt you with dung if you mock it.
Elzix then muses,
I understand that you've been talking to Jaron. Well, if so, then you're the first in a long while. Since the trouble began, actually. Do us a favor and try to find out what's got Jaron so edgy all the time. Okay?
Grays somewhat questions our integrity.
What's got you so occupied in the palace? Oh, don't tell me you're finding the harems more compelling than killing demons. That would be out of character for one such as yourself.
Confirming he is fully unaware of the horror that lies in that accursed place, and why Jaron chooses to loiter on the safety of his palace steps.
I am certain that you will find the information you need when you find Horazon's journal. I suggest you find it quickly, for Diablo may be getting closer to freeing his brother as we speak.
And then Jaron warns us of the rogue mage.
There was an Eastern mage, a Vigerai, I believe, who visited me almost a year ago. He was very interested in the history of this site, and he seemed particularly fascinated with the palace architecture. I gave him a tour. When he found the ancient seals over a passageway in the cellar, he became very agitated. He asked for some time alone to study them, and I granted it. Shortly after, he left with no further word, and I never saw him again. Odd, don't you think?
It's not completely unheard of for those trained in the dark arts to find the allure of power absolutely irresistible. But what did the wandering wizard discover? And why did he leave? Or did he delve into the accursed portal himself? There is only one way to find out, as we ourselves tepidly step through the portal in the palace and through to the Arcane Sanctuary.
This surely is the product of a twisted mind.
Upon entering, our journal updates, telling us to find Horazon's journal. We see we're in a huge, almost infinite expanse that seems to be separate from time and space itself. The air, if such a thing seems to exist here, is thrumming with magical currents, and although we're not well versed in mysticism, we can tell the architecture itself has been warped by magics, and the starry void is some kind of current in which it flows. It feels less of a prison and more of the construct of a warped yet brilliant mind. Fighting our way through the maze of narrow paths and red portals, there are untold waves of goatmen, wraiths, and vampires waiting in ambush. The small corridors thankfully grant us the ability to fight them in packs, although the fire spells from the vampires can be nasty. The Arcane Sanctuary itself consists of 4 arms with a waypoint at the center. At the end of 3 arms, we typically find just a golden chest filled with treasures and a dead end. However, as we travel to one of the arms, we begin to become cursed and pelted with strong magical attacks, and the quest notification will pop up that we have entered the Summoner quest. This means that we are close to Horazon's journal. We race up the stairs as we defell the Summoner himself as quickly as humanly possible, as he is a ferociously powerful glass cannon that we've ever met, dropping him within a few blows as his mocking laughter echoes through the void.
Rest in peace, tortured soul.
He then drops a few paltry blue swords and nothing really of note. However, we then see on the pedestal his famed journal, to which it says,
Seekers of the tomb of Tal Rasha will find it through the portal, but know that the glowing glyphs recorded here in my arcane sanctuary are the signs of the 6 false tombs. The missing 7th sign marks the tomb of Tal Rasha. Of the Horadrim, he might be called the foremost. It was a shining but brief moment for the mage clans when they set aside their differences and worked together against the common enemy. The Horadrim relentlessly pursued the 3 across the desolate empires of the east and even into the uncharted lands of the west, leaving the Archangel Tyriel's hands unblemished. Presuming the 3 to be vanquished, the Horadrim's unstable fellowship began to dissipate. Abandoning their sacred charge to safeguard the 3 soul stones, the disparate mage clans began to squabble amongst each other over petty differences. Their conflicts not only dissolved their brotherhood, but strengthened the evils which they had buried beneath the cold earth.
And then a special red portal opens to the Canyon of the Magi, and our quest log will now display the symbol of the true tomb of Tal Rasha. Before we head to the canyon, we heed the journal's warning and speak once again to the townsfolk. Returning to town, some of the people will give us news of the Summoner and his history, as well as talk about the Sanctuary, uniquely giving some NPCs 2 different responses when greeting us. Seeing Atma first, she says,
You're more the hero than I could have dreamed. Perhaps there is hope for us after all.
I haven't forgotten those poor girls, and glad the Radamit incident is over and the townsfolk never witnessed the horrors within their walls. Geglash then jokes,
I wish Jaron would have let me in the palace. I would have saved those girls and kicked demon ass back to the fire pits of hell.
Luke's. I don't know. They may have willingly jumped in the pits of hell rather than Geg's sweaty rum-soaked sheets. Kane then shares,
You must move quickly now, friend, for Diablo is undoubtedly close to finding what he seeks. Find the tomb of Tal Rasha before he frees the Lord of Destruction. I hope that this false summoner found peace in death. Unfortunately, it is more likely that he will be dragged down into hell by the demons he was bound to. Let this be a lesson to you. Demonic magic is a quick path, but its powers are seductive and deadly.
And he is right. We must make haste if we're to catch Diablo before he frees his destructive kin. Tragically, although not implicitly stated, it is official in canon the summoner's identity was that of Jazrith of the Vigerai, the wizard from Diablo 1, making all 3 heroes from the original Diablo accounted for and have been corrupted and tragically twisted by the prime evils by the events of Diablo 2. Farah then affirms,
I feel no pity for that would-be summoner. His terrible ambition for demonic power was his undoing. You merely hastened the inevitable. Faith is stronger than any armor. The shield will protect the body, but faith will strengthen the courageous heart.
As a fellow ex-holy paladin, her words ring true. However, Lysander, cocking one ear, fails to hear us for a 3rd time, sputtering.
Such is always the fate of those who meddle with evil. Horazon's urinal? Oh, journal. Yes, well, glad you found it. Such a shame about those poor harem girls, huh? I shall miss them deeply. I mean, their conversations, of course.
Don't worry, Lysander. You'll see them soon enough. We then visit Mashif by the docks, who says,
Well, you've got what you're after. Now get a move on before it's too late. So, now we know Jaron's little secret. Well, I guess I can see why he wanted me to stay, though. I'm just glad it didn't come to that. Now he tells me to wait some more, in case you need to get out of here. Well, for you, I'll do it. Maybe they'll mention me in the epic ballads, eh?
I hope there is little cause for a ballad and this ends quickly. Wareve shows further concern, saying,
I guess you'll be heading to the tombs now. I hear that they're in the deepest desert regions. Well, the news going around town is very unsettling. Apparently, we were in more danger than anyone thought. Good work, friend. You may have saved all our skins.
We appreciate his thanks, but fear the true danger lies in one of the 7 tombs. We then pass Jaron, who says,
The demonic force that was emanating from the corrupted sanctuary has dissipated. I thank you greatly for your help. Now we can look to rebuilding our lives. All will be for nothing, though, if you do not stop the greater evil which is rapidly gaining ground. I thank you for your heroic aid. I'm also glad that you found something you were looking for. The journal should help you find the true tomb of Tal Rasha. Hopefully there is still time to get there before Diablo. Go now, and good luck.
Journal in hand, we have but a few more people to see before we search in the desert heat once more. Elzix then says,
You make me long for the days of glory, when I had both hands, both eyes, and more of a foot. News of the tragedy in the palace is spreading fast. How awful. And to think this whole time I thought Jaron and his guards were in there playing with the harem girls.
It seems a simple curiosity added with time and mixed in fear sparks many a rumor.
So, Horazon's been dead for some time. I take it you at least found what you were looking for.
Unbelievable. The harem girls are dead?
The palace guard's been fighting off demons from the cellar? How could that happen without my knowledge?
It's like my father always says, never assume. It makes an ass out of you and me. And finally, we seek Drognin once more, who muses,
Larger forces are moving inexorably towards us. You must now make haste to the tombs. You have found Horazon's journal. Excellent. But I must caution you. The mark of the true tomb of Tal Rasha is sought, if not already known, by Diablo. I needn't elaborate on the implications of that.
No, we understand the dire effect Diablo's unleashing of a second greater evil has on the land. With that, we make haste once more to find the tomb of Tal Rasha and stop Diablo before it's too late. That's it for the video. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with my upcoming lore videos out most weekdays at 7 PM PST. If you want to further the conversation, my social accounts are linked. I'd love to chat, and we have a brand new Discord to celebrate lore, and we'll be running a Diablo 4 guild in which all are welcome. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Traveler.